Really excited to present this topic. When Adam came up to me in the summer and said and laid out the web series and showed me, the topic that he wanted me to present, at first I kind of laughed and said, yeah, I know absolutely nothing about this. And when November 1st rolled around, I said, I need to make sure that I'm getting some content put together and ready for this meeting. I had a blast over the last 3 weeks, recalling, tips and tricks that I've used over the years that have provided me a good work-life balance. And so it was fun to do. I've got some good stories, some good anecdotes, some good tips and tricks. But, the real key to this is to share. And so what I encourage all of you is, I'm going to share with you things that have worked for me. It may not work specifically for you. You may be able to take some of the things that I've done and adapt it to more your lifestyle or more your setting. But continue to share with each other. That's the key, because shamelessly stealing ideas is how we get better in life. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. This presentation has several links and several hyperlinks to either video content or articles that I find useful. The fact is you can Google work-life balance and find anything that out there that will work. So let me get started. Most of the information I'll share today can be found either by following my Twitter account at twoods54 or by linking with me on LinkedIn. And so I've got those links in here. Feel free to follow, and you can get a lot of this content. So as of this week, ladies and gentlemen, this week is my 20th year at Star Trek, which is now Core Health and Fitness. And, dangerously close to half my life. I've lived through some amazing times. I've lived through some scary times. But it has been one hell of an education, let me tell you. And it's taught me more about things that I never thought I could do. After 5 years of education at the University of Michigan, this has truly been my life education. I don't feel I need to go get a master's in business because I get it every day at this organization. And my career has spanned sales, product management, marketing, operations, and customer service. I started as a territory manager here in Southern California. I have a very similar story to the man who introduced me, Adam Maloney, who started as a clerk in our mailroom and just saw opportunity and said, I'll do it. Whenever there was opportunity, Adam filled that gap, and that's why he's in the position he is today. I did a very similar thing. When I saw an area of either weakness or opportunity, I adapted my skill set to fill that role and was never afraid to take on a challenge. My growth in this company looks more like a Tetris piece where I would go up, over, up, over, up, over, as compared to just up, up, up. And so I've had a really good chance here. The company's afforded me great opportunities to expand my skill set. Currently today, I'm in charge of global sales. I have 4 divisions: Asia, Latin America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and North America. I'm responsible for over 70 direct employees and ultimately responsible for many of the distributors that are either on this call today or partners of ours throughout the globe. As many of you may know, and hopefully we've got our Design Fitness on the phone. If not, I'll continue to reference them. I'm a diehard Michigan Wolverine fan. So if any of you are looking for holiday gifts, I'll take anything that is maize and blue. I have a wife and 2 girls who are extremely important to me, and this will be a major theme on the call. And none of them were here when I started that job. Started this job with this company. And, I'm very proud of my family. And one of the reasons that this job has been so fulfilling for me is because many of the people that I speak with, whether it be Kevin Farley and all of his sons' great exploits and not so great exploits, and and people like Vanessa Clapper and her great story of adopting a child just a few months ago. We come into work every day, but because we have such a strong connection with family, there's a good mixing of me time, we time, and them time that I'll talk about. And I like to have fun. I like getting in front of you. The web series is really good, but I really enjoy when you come to the company and we do our meetings. I like talking to your new employees and your new sales reps who are starting now in this industry and have no idea, what happened 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And I love seeing that and having fun with them and really learning more about them. Today, I want to walk you through why balance is important, and I think one of the most important things is always test your presentation before. So I'm hoping this is going to work. So Adam, you got to jump in and let me know if it doesn't. Are you guys seeing, or Adam, are you seeing a YouTube pop up?
Yep, it's popping up.
Okay, so there's going to be a little ad. There's going to be a little ad here, so. Because, again, I'm shamelessly stealing content. But this is why we need to have balance.
Hey! Many of you are looking for any last-minute gift ideas for me. I have one. I'd like to thank Shirley, my boss, right here tonight. I want a book from his happy holiday slumber over there in Milligan Lane with all the other rich people. And I want a book right here with a big ribbon on his head. And I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, fly, no-good, rotten, fork-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, impressed, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, nip-legged, spotted, worm-head, sack of monkey shit he is. Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
Easily one of the best scenes I think I've ever encountered on a video. So let me go forward. That's why we're here today, is to prevent that conversation so that none of us get to that point. And when I look at work-life balance, whenever I do these types of presentations, the first thing I do is I use Google, and I just search for the pure definition of the words that we're trying to talk about. And funny enough, this is what will come up. There's two philosophies. There's an employer perspective to work-life balance, which is just basically, if you read through this, trying to make it so that you never have a life, that you're only thinking about work and your focus is 100% on the work. Now, there's also the converse to this, which is the employee perspective. And some of these are good ideas in regards to making sure that you can balance either working too much or not working at all. But I think the point that it's trying to make is simply it's important to make sure you have both the employer and the employee perspective. So as I go through today, I want to really try to go through the things that I feel create the golden key. And here's the deal. So again, there's about 30 of us on the call today. Everybody has a different way of looking at how we can use balance through our life to maximize both our work potential, our family life, and other important things in our life. Everybody has something different. And these are three people that I picked up that I thought, this would be a good check to see what people think. Steve Jobs, he was always about being unapologetically ambitious about a passion. Always wanted to make sure that he was driving it to the fullest degree. Gary Vaynerchuk, if you don't know who he is, Google him, watch some of his YouTubes. He is the epitome of hustle. It's hustle, hustle, hustle. And he feels he can out-hustle everybody and be successful. Jim Harbaugh, somebody that's near and dear to my heart, is very simple. Drink a lot of milk. You want to be a quarterback, drink a lot of milk. For me, it's about maximizing my awake hours. And over the next 35 minutes, 40 minutes, what I want to do is I want to give you tips and tricks that I use from when I wake up in the morning to when I go to bed at night. And I don't need to just get 4 hours sleep or be thinking work the entire time. It's just how do you take from the minute you get out of bed to the minute you go to bed and maximize that time. So these are things that have worked for me, and we'll go through them. We're going to talk today about selecting priorities, scheduling in advance, and planning your day and checking your day. These are three of the most crucial things that we can talk about. And if there's anything you take away, this is probably the most important thing you need to focus on. After we go through of scheduling and planning, the next thing I'm going to tell you is don't get used to a routine, because routines are meant to be broken, and really how you adapt to that is going to be how successful you are in maximizing your day. We'll talk about the concept of me time, we time, and them time. I'm going to encourage you all to throw your phone away. Going to encourage you to go all in, and then at the end of it, I want to make sure that you've got some tools that I've used that you might be able to use. And again, I go back to there's probably 40 other things that's where you can share and say, hey, this is what works for me, this is what doesn't. We'll finish with some expert testimony, and then I want to tell you the story of the jar of balls. Okay, so number one, selecting priorities. And what I mean by this is we're not talking about short-term priorities. We're talking about long-term priorities. We're not talking about just your day or your week. I really want you to take a moment over the weekend and sit down in a quiet space for 15 minutes and truly ask yourself things like, what are you good at? What are you really good at? What do you excel at? When people look at you, they say, wow, Tom Johnson, he is a, fill in the blank, and use good words, not bad words. Where do you sit back? And it doesn't have to be just about work, and it doesn't have to be about, I don't want you to say you're a good presenter or you're a good a negotiator. For me, when I started asking this question to myself, one of the things I feel I'm good at is coaching, and coaching in my professional life and in my personal life. And that's something that I like, I think I'm good at, and I think I can continue to excel at. What's your expertise? When people say, man, I really need to know more about, strength product, they think, in our company, they think Jeff Dills. That guy has an expertise of taking a very complex topic and making it sound very easy to understand. His expertise is in his communication skills and how to relay complex topics into useful tidbits that allow you to generate more interest with your customer base. What's important to you? This is huge. And again, the key to this, when you're doing this over the weekend for 15 to 30 minutes, is you have to be honest with yourself. You have to sit back and say, you know what, I don't want to say things that people think I should say. It's what do I really want to say? When you get to being honest with what you're good at, what you think you're an expert at, what's really important to you, it starts identifying your priorities. And this is something that, it's a great January 1st topic to deal with. It's everything about, creating your goals for the year. It really just allows you to address the most important things. And the reason this is extremely valuable is because when we get into our scheduling, this is what should be driving your scheduling, your day, and what you focus on. What do you secretly or not so secretly want to be good at? This is all a part of identifying your gaps, and it's what are you good at? What do you want to be good at? And a really good softball player, Lisa Fernandez, one of my favorite quotes is, you make your weaknesses your strengths and your strengths stronger. I never want you just to focus on what you're good at and then leave anything else that you don't want to be good at away to the sideline. It's important to balance out your strengths and your weaknesses. And then most importantly, are you taking care of yourself? And I'll stress this throughout the rest of the presentation, that there isn't one time study, productivity study, what you need to be doing to plan out your day that does not say exercise, specifically exercise in the morning, but at this point exercise is not, it's every time they'll tell you it's very important that you're doing this. So identify that as a priority and put it in there. So in the selecting your priorities, really answer these questions, be honest with yourself, write it down, because it's going to start highlighting the things that you can now go search out and try to improve upon. In regards to scheduling, we talk about scheduling in advance. Scheduling in advance is a very important thing, and for the first portion here, I'm not talking about your day. What I'm looking at is a little more longer term, looking at your week. So one of the tips and tricks that I use is first thing is a Sunday night or early Monday morning activity. And what I mean by this is a 15-minute activity. Sunday night, you can be, winding down the weekend. Take a look at your week. Plan 15 minutes to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do this week. If you're going to do it if you miss it on Sunday night, I suggest it's early morning Monday. So do not open your emails. Do not start your day. Do not, get into your first meeting. This is a 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. activity. Clear your head, open your calendar only, and focus. What I do is I review my set meeting schedule, and I'm going to show you an example here. So meetings are set for me all the time. People want to meet with me about various topics, and so I'll accept those meetings in advance, and they block out my time. But what I'll do on Sunday night or Monday morning is take a look at the open space and try to figure out what I need to do in that space. I'll go to my priority list. This is why you need to do the priorities first. And I'll schedule activities around those priorities. If I have a priority of improving my coaching, and it might be a personal activity, I'm going to carve out time to figure out what I need to do to improve my coaching or my leadership or my expertise on learning new product lines that we have to understand so that we can position. Priorities can be important, not urgent. If you've all read several books out there, whether it be the Covey Habits or other priority setting books, a lot of times the meetings that we're dealing with are the urgent meetings. They're the ones that are about the next deal, about a service issue, about something that's immediate and actionary. It's really important that your list of activities are also sharpening your skill on the important tasks that are in front of you. You need to schedule the work, the meetings, and the time to accomplish these tasks. This is probably one that I miss the most, and I think others miss the most as well. If you're not scheduling out activities to prepare for meetings and blocking out that time, you're generally walking into a meeting 15 minutes in advance trying to get something done that you can then present. I'm going to show you an example here that my time was scheduled for this presentation throughout the week so that I could block out time to focus on it uninterrupted so that I could end up producing a better presentation. I have another meeting in about 2 hours after this, and I think we all get accustomed to just being able to discuss these topics like the back of our hand, and I can put that presentation together in 5 minutes and then go. My suggestion is, in this scheduling time, make sure that you're creating gaps of hours or half-hour segments that allow you to accomplish these tasks. And then another trick to allow you to get better is to color code your tasks. When you color code, you can review it at a glance and you can see if you have balance. And so here's an example of what I'm talking about. This is my calendar for November 23rd to the 27th. You can see I've got activities that have been scheduled for me already in advance. My Monday is usually a management day, and I'll talk about that here in just a bit, where I work with my managers, I do my one-on-ones, and we set up our week in advance. I've got some scheduled operation calls, some scheduled finance calls, some key account meetings, and some other tasks. So right now, the week of November 23rd to the 27th is open. What I would do is on Sunday night, Monday morning, open this week, and I'd start planning my week. So this next one is my week for this week. So you can see we're over here on Friday the 13th. I'm on my Webex right now, and it's set up by Adam. But you can see a much more filled out week. So let me point out a couple things. One of the things that I really wanted to focus on this year was strategy. I spend too much time reacting to fires and doing the daily tasks. So what I've done a really good job of is, number one, I've color-coded strategy in orange, and I have set times where I'm going to focus on strategy events. So you can see Monday I spent 3 to 4 hours on reviewing my executive review. I've set up budget reviews. I've got marketing and product reviews set up. All of the orange now that I can see at a glance is based on strategy. Personal events. It's very important. I keep one calendar. I don't have two calendars. I don't have my Gmail calendar and my work calendar. I have one calendar so that I can see what's going on in regards to my personal life and my work life. And you can see I had football practice at 4 o'clock. I scheduled dinner with my wife. I scheduled my workout on Wednesday between 11:30 and 12:30. And of course tonight I've got a very big Lady Lions playoff football game that I've blocked out so that I can go focus on. And one thing you'll notice here is you got your general 8 to 5 o'clock time period. There are some times that personal activities, whether it be a run or the playoff game, will encroach into that time period. That's okay if you're in a position that allows you the flexibility to mix the me time, we time, and them time. Prep time. This is what I was talking about. If you don't schedule time to get other activities ready and done, you'll be working at 6 in the morning and at 10 o'clock at night. And so one of the things that I find helpful is blocking out time so that other people cannot schedule on top of me opportunities to prepare for bigger events. So I have a price committee meeting that I run every Thursday. I generally will block out 45 minutes on a Wednesday to prepare for that meeting so that I'm not getting to 9:30 and going, oh my gosh, I need to get this presentation done. So it looks like a very busy calendar, but understand it's because I've got my personal time, I've got my prep time, and I've got my meetings set up. The colors to me represent my balance. So purple is my Asia, Latin America region. Green is my, I guess it's more of a darker green is my Europe time period. Pink is my North America time period. Green, the light green is my personal time. And this is just a great tool in Outlook that you can use that whenever a meeting's being set, I'm color coding it. I can look at this and I can say, am I heavy on one area or not? So that's your long term. The short term on planning your day and checking your day is a little more finite. This is something I do every single day. Now, so the planning your week can happen on a Sunday. This should happen on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The first thing is this acronym PDCA. PDCA stands for Plan, Do, Check, Act. And I would argue that many of us plan pretty well, and we do a lot. The checking and the acting is probably something that most of us get a C- to a D on. Are we going back and saying, hey, have I accomplished what I said I was going to accomplish? And if I did or didn't, what am I going to change about my behavior to make sure that I continue to do this or to improve upon it? So the process is this. It's 5 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon. And the 15 minutes in the afternoon is the hardest thing to do because most of us are working right up until we have to get on the road to go see our kids' events, or we want to get home, or we want to get to our workout. So plan 15 minutes. If you have to leave at 5 o'clock, at 4:45, do your review, do your check. And the purpose of the check is this. Did you achieve your goal for the day? So the first 5 minutes is sitting down uninterrupted before you open your email and say, what do I want to accomplish today? Write it down. Write it down on a piece of scrap paper, a whiteboard, put it in your Evernote, whatever it might be. I want to accomplish this today, okay? The 15 minutes in the afternoon is just simply asking, did I or did I not accomplish it? Did you plan enough? Did you do more than what you said you were going to do? Okay, great. Then in your review process, plan accordingly the next day to add activities. Did you plan too much? Did you not get to a couple things? And if you didn't, what stopped you? That's the most important thing. You have to write down what stopped you. Take that 15 minutes. Then the next day when you come in for your 5-minute review, you look at that first and then say, okay, this is what I want to go do, and this is how I'm going to stop that. Now, once you do this for 5 weeks, it becomes an innate trait. It quickly will come at you, and you'll be able to do this in a much faster format. And will you get to your 15 minutes every afternoon? No. But if you skip the 15 minutes in the afternoon, then my argument is don't even worry about the 5 minutes in the beginning because you're not going to teach yourself to check and act, okay? So plan your day, check your day is a really great tool to make sure that you're being efficient. Now that we've talked about that, throw your routine out the window. So when I had my first child, this was my first routine realization, and I'm sure some of you are in the same boat. I know, and I referred to Vanessa earlier, and I believe she's on the call, but Vanessa goes through this daily now. When I had my first daughter, Andy, the story goes like this. My wife is a night owl. I'm an early bird. So we had a cutoff time of 3 a.m. If my daughter got up before 3 a.m., she had the shift. After 3 a.m., I had the shift. My daughter got into this great routine. She'd wake up at about 11 o'clock at night, want a feeding, and then she'd sleep solid till about 4:30. 4:30 was a perfect time for me because what I could do is I could feed her, rock her a little bit, and by 5 o'clock she'd go back down for about 2 hours. And boy, did I have my me time. 5 to 7 a.m., solid me time, and I would get so much done. And then from 7 to 8:30, as everybody was getting ready for the day, I could disconnect and really focus on my family. And I got into such a great routine in the first 3 weeks that I was more productive during that time because she was forcing me out of bed at 4:30. I was getting my sleep. I got some great bonding time at that half hour when the house was completely quiet. And after 3 weeks, I'm getting ready to wake up. I hear everything's great, and I look at my clock, and it's 5:45. She totally screwed me up. She didn't wake up at the 4:30 like she had been doing for the last 3 weeks. She slept till 5:45, and I was like, oh, my gosh. And I specifically planned my activities at 4:30. And so I get up, and I go in, and I feed her, and sure enough, she's looking at me at 5:15, and I'm like, okay, go down now, or 6:15. I'm like, you got to go down now. I only have 45 more minutes to get my stuff done. You got to go to sleep. Oh, no, she didn't need to sleep anymore. She got through the whole second nap period. And it screwed my routine up so much that I was so stressed about not getting things done in that 2-hour window that I wanted that I didn't know what I was going to do. And it was at that moment that I realized you can't count on a routine all the time. You need to be able to adapt. You need to be able to say, okay, well, if this is what's going to happen, I better set my alarm clock, get up, deal with her at that moment in time when she needs me, and work later in the night. And so be able to adapt. It's if you get into a routine, it gets boring. You'll get complacent. It's inevitable. You'll think you can rattle these presentations off. You'll think you can just do the same job you've always done. So get used to knocking your routine every now and then. And second, being able to adapt is a tremendously strong trait that many businesses like to see. You need to be able to come in with a game plan, not get knocked off. But if you do, you need to be able to adapt and deal with it. So once I got to the point where I realized that I could throw my routine away, my stress level went way down, and you can focus better on the task at hand. Why me time is important. This is a good story. So let's talk about me time, we time, and them time for a second. As I mentioned before, one thing that's consistent with almost any productivity article, book, email, podcast is that if you do not take time for yourself and include exercise in your routine, you will not have the opportunity to get better. And, with us all being in the fitness industry, we all have that same thing. I don't know about you guys, but I exercised incredibly efficiently before I was in the fitness industry. And then once I got into the fitness industry, everything was out the window. Over the last even 5 weeks, I've improved my schedule based on a contest that we're in, and I'm finding my productivity and my focus has improved tremendously just by sticking to a very basic routine. So here's the story why me time is so important. Yesterday, I had the opportunity of going out to lunch with some colleagues. And if you went back to my schedule, you saw I had it scheduled that I needed to work out. And for me, my attitude is this: work out whenever you can. If I can get 7 days a week in, great, because I know that the next week I might only get 2 days a week based on my meeting schedule. So I try to work out whenever I can that will suit my time. And so yesterday, there I was. This is an older picture, but I said no to the lunch, and I got into the workout room, and I decided to work out on our tread climber, and I call it my House of Cards workout. House of Cards workout. I never know how long it's going to be. It's going to be as long as the Netflix show is going to allow me to work out. So yesterday was a 48-minute workout. So I've got my me time, 48 minutes. I'm watching House of Cards, and sure enough, 32 minutes into the workout, there was a scene between the vice president and the vice president's wife that resonated, that gave me a tremendous idea for today's presentation. And if it wasn't for me time, and I wouldn't have been able to sit and relax and put my mind into a different mindset, I wouldn't have picked up on this one key conversation between these two actors that would have, I would have skipped this entire part of the presentation. And the scene, to set it up, was the president and the first lady were having dinner with the vice president and his wife. And the first lady was jealous at the connection between the vice president and the wife of the vice president, Claire. And she said, you guys exercise together, you run together. And Claire simply said, you know what? That's the one thing that we have, that Frank and I have, that is just ours, that it's nobody else's. And nobody can take that away from us. And I sat there and I said, you know what? That is the definition of me time, we time, and them time. So me time is simply this. Are you taking time to do things you want to do? Define what those things are. And you know what? It is okay to relax and sit on the couch and watch a show. What are the things that make you happy? And can you multitask me time and we time? My daughter has a basketball practice tomorrow, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I'm going to go there. She loves me being there for about the half hour. And once the half hour is done, I can go get a run in while I'm there. And then when I come back, I can watch the last half hour of scrimmage. And I've created a we time and a me time moment that is within 2 hours. And it's huge and it's beneficial. But the we time, I think, after listening to this, is even the most important. It's probably the most overlooked thing. And I'll be the first one to tell you, with my wife, I don't have we time. I don't have that one thing that we have together because we're going in different directions all the time. And it's probably the most important thing. So this is what I'm going to challenge you all with. Pick a person. And it can change month to month. But what I suggest is first pick one person and perfect this. Then add on another, then add on another. It can be a spouse, it can be a parent, it can be a child, it can be a religious figure, it can be a friend. I don't care who it is, but pick one person. And then figure out what you're doing that is just yours. It's just yours. And when you're there, be present in we time. And I'm going to talk about that. Be present in that and devote 100% of your energy into that we time. I've got a great friend that I coach softball and football with, and our daughters are good friends. And I am so jealous of his interaction with his father and his mother because they are at every practice and game we go to. And this guy has become a dear friend of mine. And we were talking the other night, and he said that he's got one thing that he runs a business, and he tells me all the time about how jealous he is of us and how we're so involved with our kids' sports. And yet, my friend is a chiropractor, and I'm running a global sales organization, and he loves the fact that we prioritize our kids. And the one thing that he said is, this was important to us too. And Debbie and I, we have one thing we do every Wednesday. We meet at 12 o'clock at the same Chick-fil-A every Wednesday, and we have lunch. And it was the epitome of we time. That's their time that nobody else interrupts, that they do religiously every week. And I obviously you can hear my passion in this. It's really important for you to establish me time so that you can fill your inner soul, and we time. Pick somebody and do something with it. And the more you grow, and all I suggest is next year, in 2016, you do this to 3 people, you will be closer with your spouse, you will be closer with a friend, and you will be closer with a child than you've ever been. But you have to adhere to that. Then there's them time. I think we spend a lot of time here. This is everybody else, right? This is important. I don't want you to ever, balance is balance. It's not stress one over the other. And, my key to being successful in them time is one, establish priorities. And my president, Dustin Gross, understands that family is very important to me. And every president I've worked for has understood that family is very important to me. And the deal I have with my family is because I can be flexible with my schedule, and I've been graced with an opportunity that does allow me to be flexible with my schedule, I will give to them at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 7 o'clock at night and Saturdays, as long as they give back to me that I need to be gone at 3 o'clock on certain days. I know everybody isn't in that same situation, but many of us on this call are. And I'll call somebody out on this call, and I don't know if you're on this call or not, but Michael Ciccolone from our distributor at Fitness Smith down in Florida is someone I joke about inside the office, whether he knows this or not, because I follow him on Facebook, I follow him on other social media, and I see what he does, and I joke about him, and I'm envious of him, and I'm jealous of him with the amount of time he does dedicate to his family, to his other important issues, and he's got a great balance of me time, we time, and them time. And so what I suggest is learn to mix these times. If you can mix these times, you can benefit from them, and you can bounce them around each other. Throw your phone away. This is the start of it all. That little red dot on the BlackBerry from 12 years ago. I remember getting anxiety from watching my green dot fluctuate to a red dot. And when that red dot came on, for some of you who maybe have never had a BlackBerry, that meant you've got a new message. You've got a new email. And it was the start of looking at your phone in a meeting and going, uh-oh, somebody else is trying to connect with me. And, I called this my parents growing up back in the 60s and 70s, they were the light the cigarette before you get out of bed type of parents. And, the BlackBerry that used to sit on our nightstand became that cigarette for many of us, which was my feet wouldn't hit the ground and I'd see that red dot. And before I know it, I'd be looking at emails, at 5:30 in the morning, creating stress and anxiety in my life. I just had a great conversation with an ex-employee who's a partner of ours, Dennis Vega, here yesterday, and we were talking about our kids and how the phone is the devil to our kids because it's creating a situation where they cannot focus on very important conversations or me time. What I say is when you really have to focus, and this is something I just started this week on certain things, consider your airport mode. Put your phone in airport mode when you really have to disconnect for an hour and get a presentation done, or focus on your numbers, or create a sales strategy plan or a territory management plan. Need to focus is not only at work. We instituted a rule about probably about 7 weeks ago, and it's going great. About when my family goes out to dinner, no phones are allowed. The only time we're allowed to have a phone is my wife's phone, when we put it in the middle of the table, when we're waiting for our meal, if we want to play trivia crack. That's the only time we allow it. Then our family can play a game together where we're answering questions and we're using the phone as only that device. It's my little one, my daughter Sammy, 11 years old, who wanted a phone last year, who got the phone, who doesn't even know where her phone is. She's so disconnected from it that about 7 weeks ago, there were three of us on the phone while we were waiting for our dinner, and she looked at us and said, "Dad, why does everybody have their phone? Can't we just do something else?" And it hit me like a dart. And so now when I go to dinner, the phone stays in the car because, unfortunately for me, I've got this habit where I feel I need to look at the phone. I mean, my phone's on my left right now, and I'm finding out things like my wife's texting me about the football game tonight, and breaking. DraftKings and FanDuel are now filing a suit to stop the New York Attorney General. It's constantly giving me stuff, and when it lights up, I want to see what's going on. I have to leave it in the car. I'm not strong enough. The key is to focus on the task at hand, regardless if it is a meeting, a dinner, or so on and so forth. Now, in the presentation, I've got a link here, and I'm not going to open it up because I want to just keep going. But it says stop interruptions. So please download the presentation, follow the link, and there's 7 ways to avoid interruptions at work. And guys, this is all basic stuff. The key things it'll say, turn off your notifications, like I just read. Close your Outlook. I can't stress that one enough. Get rid of your emails. Don't even look at it. Schedule time to do your emails. Emails between 2 and 4 on Friday. That's fine. Close your Outlook. You're constantly being bombarded. Learn to say no. I think we all say that, but many of us don't want to. But say no when necessary. There was a great philosophy we used years ago at Star Trek. You can't be double booked in a meeting. It is physically impossible for you to be double booked. If you didn't say no and you said yes and you double booked, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Turn on music. Some of you are more in tune to music. Some of you are not. I've got my Pandora set up and my door shut, and I focus on the music, and it allows me to go away. Here's a big one. avoid gossip. As soon as you start talking about the negative spiral of what's going on in our company or your company or their company or what's going on, it's wasted conversation that produces absolutely no results. Physically isolate yourself. You don't know how many times I actually will get out of this office and go to a Starbucks for 2 hours and get stuff done because you're not being interrupted. If you know that you're in an environment that's going to be physically interrupting, then remove yourself. And then the other one, which I've already talked about, is blocking your calendar. So it's a good article. Follow that. Take two out of the 7 tricks, and you'll improve yourself. This is another example of throwing your phone away and the importance. This is just a good infogram that I found. Again, Google's your friend. You can find it. But it takes more than 25 minutes on average to resume a task after being interrupted. We know that if you're focused on one task, you're about 85% efficient. If you go to 2 tasks, you drop tremendously. You drop down to about 40% in productivity. More and more and more it goes, the more less productive you are. I thought this was an interesting stat. Multitasking can lower your IQ by 15 points, which is 3 times more than the effect of smoking cannabis. Think about that. And so with my daughter, my whole point is, do you really want to be raising a bunch of Spicoli? So we make sure that the phone's out, you get the focus, and away you go. Go all in. This is one of my wife's pet peeves. She says, whenever I decide I'm going to do something, there's no gray. It's either 0 or 100%, whether it's a diet, a workout activity, whatever it might be. So here's a couple of techniques that I've used in the past. First off, Google's your friend. If you're not using Google to find this stuff, then you're missing out. I've posted on my Twitter account and my LinkedIn account a couple of techniques. And again, I'm not going to go into the link, but they're right here. One of them is called Pomodoro. And I started this about 2 weeks ago, and it works. It works for me. It may not work for you, but it works for me. Pomodoro is a simple technique that forces you to do 25 minutes of uninterrupted time focusing on one task with no interruptions. And it's pretty basic. The Pomodoro technique is choosing a task, just one task at a time, and then you set a timer. Put your phone on a timer. A kitchen timer is even better because then you don't have your notifications on. And you work on that task without interruption until that timer goes off, and you force yourself. As soon as you finish that task, make a check mark on your Pomodoro sheet. Keep a piece of paper there and check it off. Take a 5-minute break. Walk around. Go on your Facebook. Go use the restroom. Grab another water, whatever it might be. At 5 minutes, come back, do another one. And if you can do 3 of these in a row, 4 of these in a row, you follow it with your 15-minute break, you will be amazed at how efficient you become at just that simple task. The key here is you have to stop your interruptions. So this is a good article. The article is titled "The Simple Technique to Fit a 40-Hour Work Week into 16.7 Hours." The math is there that shows how you can do it. I've yet to complete 7 Pomodoros in a day. I have a goal of 8, where I'm literally blocking out time and focus solely on that task. Another all-in one is a new way to think your day. So there's a good article that I posted. I believe I posted this one on LinkedIn. It comes from the CEO, Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey is the CEO of Twitter and Square. Think about that, right? CEOs of 2 companies that are completely different, that has to commit a tremendous amount of time to his day. What I really liked about his technique is, and I replicate this a little bit, he takes the days of the week and he dedicates them to basically themes. So his Monday is follow-up and introductory emails. That's all he does. It's his email day, his catch-up day. His Tuesday, I missed out on that. Basically, he's got I missed out on a print, but what it is he's got a management day, a marketing day, a products day, a follow-up day, and a sales day. And what I do in my schedule is very similar. My Monday is my management day. I sit back, I gather the numbers for the week, I sit with Mike Kelly, I sit with John Gamble in Europe and Frank O'Rourke for Asia, Latin America, and I talk about their weeks, I talk about the strategy, and we focus on management. Tuesday, I focus on my financial plan day. And if you take your days in a sales environment and you create a situation where you can do introductory follow-up days, prospecting days, travel day, quote day, you can become much more efficient. And it's just a different way of thinking about how you schedule your days instead of trying to do everything at one time. So my theory there is go all in. Go all in, find a technique that works for you, and for 3 weeks, do it. Just focus on it and drive it. Here are some tools you can use to manage your interruptions. These are ones that I use that have been very helpful to me. So Feedly is a reader. There's hundreds of news readers out there. Apple has their own. There's all sorts of different readers. But the whole intent of Feedly is to take articles of interest that maybe that you can improve upon yourself and put them in one place. So I'll open up my Feedly account. I've got Club Industry. I've got Men's Health. I've got Harvard Business Review, Fast Company, everything that I want to read. Of course, the Michigan Daily and the Michigan Sports Network, and it puts it all into one area so I can go through my articles at one time instead of going to 5 or 6 different websites. So if you're not using a reader service and you like to read content from the internet, I strongly suggest you look at something like Feedly. Buffer, if you are using social media for your businesses or to promote your brand or to promote your personal brand, I strongly suggest Buffer. You'll see that I post throughout the week. I post at 9 o'clock in the morning. In fact, I think I've got a post that just went out about 8 minutes ago. I post to LinkedIn. I post to Facebook. I post to Twitter. Just articles that I feel are relevant, that I want my sales team to understand, that I think my customer base would like, and anybody who wants to care or follow me. The key is I do this on Sunday night. I do not sit here at 9:30, take away from this presentation, and post. A buffer just allows you to schedule the posts when you want them to go out, when it's relevant, and it allows you to also track and understand when you're getting good feedback and maybe when posts shouldn't be going out because your readers aren't looking into it. Pocket is another tool I use. Pocket is anything that you see on the internet, whether it's in your reader or a website or anything that maybe I want to go see later. So a lot of times I'll be flying or I'll be in transit and I'll see something, but I just don't have time to read it. I'll throw it in my pocket, and then later on that night at the hotel when I want to go through and go back to something, I can go to my Pocket account and read through it and use that content. And then the other tool that I use quite a bit is Evernote. And if you're not using a notes program, some people are more of a handwritten program. I like to do this because it allows me to link in and throw any of my content onto my Evernotes. It's got a tremendous search capability, and it allows me to put all of my thoughts, whether I write them down without an internet help, or if I'm in a meeting, or if I want to clip articles and save them. These 4 tools, you'll notice, some people will use 20 tools. I try to keep it to 3 to 4, because if I do anything more than this, then I've just got way too much going on. But the beauty of all this is all these tools are cloud-based and interact with all your devices. So I can be on my phone, I can be at home on my home computer, I can be at my work computer, I can be on my iPad. This will all interact and all connect really nice together so that you can keep this information at a fingertip whenever you want it. So these are tools that just help me stay connected. They help me be efficient, and they do bring together. And I will add, there's another one that my wife's added called AnyList, and I didn't put it on here, but what a great tool. It's same thing, cloud-based, and it's basically a shopping list and a honey to-do list, and we're using it now for holiday gifts, and it's between my wife and I, and we can basically, if I need shampoo, dog food, and hey, I think we should get slippers for my daughter for Christmas, we put it on this list, and it helps us communicate, the same way. I'm not going to read through all these, and I've got about 3 minutes left here. But what I did, and this was a great exercise. Yesterday at 2 o'clock, I sent out a email to senior managers within our organization that I thought did a really good job of work-life balance. And I said, hey, listen, I'm doing this great presentation, pretty excited about it. Can you guys please give me any ideas that you have? I received 8 replies in about 12 minutes, which just goes to show you that, we're all excited to talk about this topic because it's not our normal daily thing. So I shared these. You're going to get this presentation. I encourage you to read through them. So let me go through this real quickly. The first one to respond was Jason Leon, our CFO, arguably our newest member to the senior staff. And a lot of it's just mimics some of the stuff we've said. Prioritize, understand what really matters, and learn to say no. We've already covered that. Stay healthy, eat, sleep, and exercise. And Jason is a really strong individual in regards to that aspect. And find fun anywhere. And I love the term anywhere, because it is important that you are finding fun at work when you're away from work. Anywhere you can go, is a great place to find fun. Kevin Corbelis, somebody who's been with our organization almost as long as me, probably 18 to 19 years. Our VP of Product Development, avid rock climber. I love number 2 because him and I share this. Join Indian Guides, Adventure Princesses, whatever it might be. This is a YMCA program that was dedicated to dads and daughters. And he got me involved. I ended up getting involved in what a great opportunity at a young age to just connect and have we time with your kids, stuff that we continue to talk about today, even though we've been out of the program for 6 years. But the point is, camp with your family, disconnect, teach your kids how to climb hills so they can climb mountains when they grow up. I just think it's tremendous advice and really, really good information from somebody who does it extremely well. The other one I really liked was be connected with your friends and pick them carefully because you become your friends in the long run. So I thought that was great advice. Joe Travers. Joe Travers is going to learn more about work-life balance than he's ever understood because he's due to have a child in about 7 weeks now. He's going to have a daughter, and all of this is really important stuff. I guarantee you, if I asked him this in about a year, some of these would change. But you go through it. I, of course, like the number 5. Call your boss before he calls you. Call your wife before she calls you. Call your mom before she calls you. And all else, call your team out before someone else calls them out. I think it's the epitome of being proactive and really a great piece of advice. John Little, he's our VP of Operations, has to manage several different distribution centers, has a lot on his plate. His number 1 is something he does do every year. Picks at least 1 week vacation for himself where he cannot get cell service or Wi-Fi service. He I appreciate that of him. But then you can see down at number 3, pick a 2nd week vacation where the family is the focus. So great example of me time and we time. And then number 4, which is something I alluded to, sharing parental duties. One, it gives you a great different perspective, gives you great bonding time with your family, and it gives your wife or your significant other me time as well. Dave Mendenhall, our Director of Sales Operations, responded right away. Take care of yourself, exercise, eat right. Dave has 5 children, so if anybody understands work-life balance, someone like Dave. Unplug on vacation. What you miss will still be there when you return. He's terrible at that, and I even called him out on that. I said, Dave, I appreciate that one, but you kind of suck at this. And he goes, yeah, I know. It's something I need to get better at. But some good information there. Merrill Richmond, great one. Kiss your significant other at the start and the end of each day. Start a savings account for rent and mortgage just in case life throws you a curve, and don't sweat the small stuff. Good information. Jeff Dilts, one of the people I look up to the most in this organization. Life is a tightrope. Without balance, you die. What a great quote. Continues to say it. Have passion for outside of work. Jeff is a serious paddler and gets out on the water by himself. Gets out on the water with his wife before work, usually 5 to 6 times a week. And allows him to clear his head and really focus on the important things. The one thing I really liked, though, was his last one. And we don't do this enough, but be a force of positivity. Every interaction, meeting, room you walk into, it's influenced by you. Choose. You can choose to make the room darker or keep it brighter. It's a great, great point. And then Jerry Adamovich, somebody who, absolutely, if he allows himself, will get sucked into the negative aspects of an industry more than anybody. I had his job. I know his job. I talk to him all the time. And I always tell him, you can control what you can only control what you can control. Don't let it bring you down. Get interest outside of this job. But I loved his number 3, and it's the first time that somebody mentioned it. Use a coach. Find somebody to hold you accountable to create balance. And you make that person, you give them the ultimate authority to call you out when you're not doing it. And I think that's a great, great bit of advice. So read through these when you can. I'm going to end it with the jar of balls story, and it's one of my favorite stories. Many of you may have heard of it. I'm going to end it here, and I'm just going to read this. Again, the link up on top, jar of balls, you can follow the link and you'll get right to it. So this is a very important life lesson that a philosophy teacher once taught his students. The teacher cleared off his desk, placed on top of it a few items. One of the items was an empty mason jar. He proceeded to fill up the jar with golf balls until he could fit no more. He looked at the classroom and asked his students if they agreed that the jar is full. Of course, every student looked. Balls were to the top and agreed. The jar is indeed full. Teacher then picked up a box of small pebbles, poured them into the jar with the golf balls. The pebbles filled all of the openings in between the golf balls. He asked the students if the jar was full. Once again, they couldn't disagree. The jar was absolutely full. Now the teacher picked up a bag of sand and poured it into the mason jar. The sand filled in all the empty space left between the golf balls and the pebbles. He asked the class again, "Is this jar full?" Students agreed. Technically, teacher, it is full. Finally, the teacher pulled out 2 beers from under his desk, poured them both into the jar, filled all the empty space in between the sand. Now the students began to laugh, wondering how far was this really going to go. The teacher waited until the laughter stopped. "I wanted you to recognize that this jar represents your life." He started. "The golf balls represent the important things, your family, your children, your health, your friends, and your passions. If everything else was lost and they remained, your life would still be full. The pebbles represent the other things in your life that matter, your job, your house, your car. The sand, that's everything else. It's the small stuff. If you put the sand in first, there's going to be no room for the pebbles or no room for the golf balls. The same goes for life. If you spend all that time and energy on the small stuff, you will never have room for the most important things. Pay attention to the most important things in your life. Enjoy time with your family. Go to dinner with your spouse. Play games with your kids. There will always be time to clean the house or go shopping. Take care of the golf balls first. Those are the things that really matter. The rest is just sand. You are now dismissed." And before the students left, one shouted out, "Hey, you never mentioned what the beer represents." And the professor smiled and said, "Well, I'm glad you asked." He said, "The beer just shows you that no matter how full your life may seem, there's always room to have a beer with a friend." I want to thank you guys for the time. This has been one of the most rewarding things I've been able to do. It's allowed me to disconnect and evaluate myself. I encourage you, since you took the hour, to do the same thing for yourselves. Use bits and pieces. Use everything. Don't use anything. Share with ourselves. Share with your coworkers. You guys are an incredible bunch of people. You're doing a great job for us, and I look forward to growing with you in the future. So, Adam, I will open it up. If anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and, again, connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Twitter, send me an email. Thank you, everybody.
We realize a lot of people might have to get off at this point, and if that's the case, we understand. But first off, thank you, Terry. That was fantastic. This will be, as I've said, posted on the porthole. We've recorded this. But if anybody has questions, now would be the time to ask. Do we have any questions for Terry? Well, I'm going to go ahead and then just close it up now. Terry, again, thank you so much, and have a wonderful week and a great month, everyone. Thanks for attending.
I just think it was great.
Thank you, everybody.
There are very few feelings that are better.